Thank you, Kurt, and thank you, Holly. Really great of you to welcome us tonight and host this event. And I also want to say thank you to the band. That was really pretty good, I thought. So I think we've got a very special evening for everybody tonight, and we're going to go into some depth. And you're going to hear some things that other people have not heard before, and we're going to have some time for questions and answers as well. But let me just take it back a couple of steps here and explain what this is all about. And for me and my wife Karen, this journey around China, this present part of it started about 3 months ago, when I was spending time with both Frank Gaffney, who you'll hear from tonight, and Roger Robinson. And they were beginning an idea that I thought was a very, very important idea for us as Americans, for us in terms of protecting our freedom. And here's how they began to describe it. They said, back in the 1970s, there was a threat. The existential threat for the United States was the Soviet Union. And many people thought that there would be détente, we'd have this nuclear standoff, and that was permanent. But a small group of people got together. They called themselves the Committee on the Present Danger. And they said, there's a better way. We think that we can actually defeat the Soviet Union. And they began to develop a strategy. And that strategy made its way into the Reagan administration, and both Frank Gaffney and Roger were key architects of that strategy. And they began to describe a vision about China. And it really resonated with me because I have this belief that China really is the existential threat for us in our time. Not only in terms of military strength, economic, the espionage that's going on, the stealing of our intellectual property, the degree to which we're dependent upon their supply chain for critical medical supplies, and much, much more. And we as Americans need to be really alert to this. And here was their idea. Their idea was, let's form a second committee. Let's form a committee, we'll call it the Committee on the Present Danger, China. That resonated with me. I said, let's get behind this. Let's really step in and make this our cause. Because there are 1.4 billion people in China who don't enjoy the same kind of freedom we do here in the United States. They need to be liberated, and we need to combat this existential threat with China. So we've done that. The committee has been formed. We're in the midst now of doing some very interesting things to alert people around the country. We've held fundraisers. We've now want to thank Kurt and Holly for tonight. We've been up here in New Hampshire. This is our second trip. And they're going to tell you a little bit about some of our strategies tonight. So first, I'd like to introduce Frank Gaffney. Frank is, I'll say one thing about Frank. He's a great guy, and he's very, very modest. But in his background, one of the things he has done is that he is really, according to, this is actually in a speech by President Reagan, who said, Frank Gaffney, I credit him with a strategy behind the anti-ballistic missile defense system, sometimes known as Star Wars, in the 1980s. So I want to introduce Frank, and he's also been the founder of the Center for Security Policy. He's a close friend, and Frank, please come on.